Unmute yourself, Ronnie.
Well, I wanted to do this, was that I want to encourage other writers, because you could think, well, I didn't go to college and, have 10 years of writing and learning everything. And I don't have any training in writing at all. And, here's my notes. It says, my English teacher had to wake me up in class, and he said I was the rudest student he ever had, because I fell asleep in his English class, And then I had to write a poem for homework, and he loved it, and he had me in after class, and I was kind of I didn't take it well. I said, I'm a basketball player. I don't write poems, I had to do this, so I did it, So you just never know how you're going to turn out in life, So I wrote my first book I wrote, and this is a good story too, was Lily and Peggy. It was about a boy, it was about a dog and a child and stuff. And they said, well, don't send that to, I said, I'm going to send it to George Ronald in England. I love what they do. They're really, they know what they're doing. They said, oh, George Ronald's never going to publish a story about a dog, Ronnie, don't do it. Well, they did, and they went on to publish my one serious book, With Thine Own Eyes, which people keep coming up to me and say they're in study groups for and things like that. And then they just came out with, this is why this is timely, but The Winter Cloak, which I'll talk about, and then Alvin. And the Alvin story, which Karen's going to read. I started to say before we had other people enter there, was that my mother, when she retired from New York, another one. Oh, Ford's coming. Ford Baha'i. Okay. So let me get him. Let him have his audio. Hi, Ford. Hey, buddy. And so.
When your mother translated something.
Yeah, when my mother moved from New York up to Eliot, Maine, more toward her sunset years, and she just practiced no more uniforms. She didn't have any more uniforms. She would take, maybe 4 people a day, and just was kind of enjoying life. This fellow drives his car past it was an old man, about 80 years old at the time. His name was Alvin Staples. He would drive his car right past us, right past Greenacre, because my mother's house is right next to Greenacre, the entrance to Greenacre. And he knocks on her door one time, and he says, I'm very sorry for knocking on your door, but my car won't go past your house without stopping. Now, anybody else would slam the door and call the police, but no, that's normal for my mother. That's okay. She can relate to that. And so he came in, and he became her patient, and he said that when I was a little boy, about 8 or 9 years old, I lived very close to Greenacre, and a lot of the little kids would make some money, because a lot of the people that came to Greenacre, and I have to tell you that the actual date was 1912 when Abd Baha was here, and they would make money by there's no commercial water fountains like you have now, so kids would come with wooden buckets filled with water, and they had a ladle, and they would give water to people, and they would get a few coins from the people there. And this was a hard story I know my mother told the truth, but it was a really difficult story to nail down because you got to convince people like George Ronald Publishing that it's all happened that way. And one of the things that I had to search the local new Portsmouth paper to see that it was a very unusual year. There were no, there used to be a lot of disreputable, shady people from the East trying to take advantage of very wealthy Baha'is who would come from Boston and others. A lot of rich people came here in the early days. Well, the poor people were, working 18 hours a day. So, so none of them showed up. So George Ronald was convinced that, we got enough here to go with this. And so he would go around and give water to people. And I started writing this, and I had no clue it would turn out like this. I didn't know where it was going. And I don't know how, if you guys write, but when I write, I just don't know where it's going. And this story came out that surprised me. And then he came back to my mother's house, and he made her a replica of the ladle that he served water to Abdul Baha for my mother. And I've had it ever since, and that's decades ago. So, yeah, amazing.
So the story is about a talking ladle. So I'm going to read this story, and you have to imagine that my voice is the ladle speaking. It's a little confused. The ladle.
Well, don't
Alvin.
blame me for getting this published. It's the crazy people of the UK.
It takes about 20 minutes. It's a short little book, and if I start coughing, don't be alarmed. I do cough when I get a little coughing spell, and then I'll turn it over to Ronnie, and
I'll cough for you.
And
I cough way better than she does.
He'll clear his throat, but don't let that alarm you either.
I can cough in different languages.
Okay. So are you ready for the story? Okay. Get up, laddie. How can an old wooden water ladle need so much sleep? Time to go, laddie yawned. I was in the middle of a wonderful dream. I was giving a sip of water to a wonderful old man with a long white beard. Stop, said Alvin, holding up his hand. I've already been up 2 hours milking 6 cows. I got no time to hear about old men with white beards unless they want to pay for some water. I did see someone yesterday with a white beard. He might be a rich foreigner. Alvin, you are always so grumpy and you never smile. I do smile, laddie, when the Greenacre people pay for my water. Alvin, you don't mean it when you smile. All I know is times are tough, and I need to make some money for my family. Let's head down to the trolley stop at the entrance to Greenacre Road. The trolley will be coming soon with a bunch of thirsty people, and I have a bucket of ice cold water, well water. Alvin dangled laddie from the leather strap attached to the end of his handle as they walked into the kitchen. There's a sweet little illustration. His mother's kitchen. The ancient cast iron cooking stove warmed the room. He could hear the comforting sizzle the burning wood made. There were very few early mornings in Maine when they didn't need the warmth, especially his mother's warmth. She was peeling potatoes at the kitchen sink. It seemed like she was always peeling and cutting up something from the garden. Hi and goodbye, Mom. Boy, take this egg and bacon sandwich with you. Hot bread right from the oven for my little man. Thanks, Mom. Be home for lunch, Alvin. Alvin stopped and looked at his mother with great respect. How is it that no matter how early I get up, you are already working? She sighed. How is it that you ask so many questions? Alvin smiled. I got one more. Do you want anything at the general store? Some flour and salt, if you make any money. Alvin pushed open the screen door and walked down the 3 worn wooden steps that carried the memory of generations of staples. I like our mom, said Laddie. She's my mom, not yours. I made you out of scrap wood and an old coconut shell. Then that makes you my mom. Let's see. I could call you mom or mama, maybe mother, when we go to church. Stop the nonsense. We need to walk faster. You know, Alvin, if you had real friends, you wouldn't talk to me so much. I don't have time for real friends. That's kind of sad, Alvin. No kidding. It was only a 10-minute trip down a dirt road to the Green Acre Hotel. They were walking at a fast pace, trying to beat the morning trolley to the trolley stop. The trolley stop was a beautiful small white building where travelers could come and go. In bad weather, there was room inside to wait. It was located at the top of the one-lane dirt road that led down to the 4-story hotel that overlooked the Piscataqua River. The inn was where the rich people stayed. Everyone else camped out in tents on the spacious fields below the hotel. There's a little picture of the trolley stop. People came from all over the world to listen to each other talk, which made no sense to Alvin. They had at least one thing in common. They all got thirsty. That is why there were water boys always mingling with the visitors. Alvin and Laddie sat on the trolley stop stairs. Morning this warm means we're going to make some good money. Alvin twisted his mouth every which way. What are you doing? Something wrong with your mouth? I'm practicing smiling. You're not that good at smiling. Alvin frowned. That's why I practice. He got to his feet. Here they come, up and at 'em, as Dad would say. It was easy to spot the rich people. They were dressed in the finest suits and dresses, the ones that were free with their money. Most people couldn't afford to stay at the fancy hotel on the hill. Here comes the trolley. How's my smile? Laddie looked him over. That is best phony smile ever. You're getting better, thanks. The thirsty travelers gathered around Alvin and Laddie, politely waiting their turn. What a nice, friendly boy. Here are a few coins. Laddie had to admire how good a salesman Alvin was. He would smile from ear to ear and make up imaginary family members. Oh, thank you, sir. Now I can buy medicine for my baby sister, or Grandma needs a new cane. Carriages came from the hotel for the fancy dressed people. No walking on a dirt road for them. Alvin wasted no time after everyone had left. Let's head to the spring and fill up the bucket. That was a real good haul. He laughed. They believed everything I said. Alvin, Grandma passed away years ago. I doubt she needs a new cane. Yeah, Laddie, that was a good one. Good lie, you mean? I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Who's going to buy the flour and salt Ma needs? We need every nickel for the family. Surviving off this rocky soil with these mean Maine winters is tough, and you know it. Alvin, just say that to the people. The next lie you tell, I'm going to call you out to the customer. Laddie, who would believe a ladle? Just leave me alone. I do feel a little bad about lying, but they were little lies, and we had big stomachs. They are dirt poor and worn out from farming rocky soil. Granddad told me that it wasn't always so. He helped build a real fine sailing ship right down there. Alvin pointed at the shore of the Piscataqua River. It was called the Nightingale after Jenny Lind. A famous opera singer. The owner spent so much money on the ship that he went broke. That was a sad day in Eliot. It broke Granddad's heart. Alvin looked toward the hotel, quite a large crowd gathering. I see some fancy automobiles. Dad says sometimes someone really famous is coming here. Alvin, how come Dad doesn't come with us with another jug? He could make even more money. Alvin's face turned red. My dad is a shipbuilder like Granddad. He ain't no water boy. Laddie lowered his voice. But there aren't any ships to build. You think I'm stupid? I know that. Doesn't change what a man is. Come on, step lively. We need to get to the spring and fill up our buckets. Our bucket. I don't have any feet. Alvin looked at Laddie with a puzzled look. What are you talking about? You said step lively, and I don't have any feet. You know, Laddie, if I could leave you home, I would. Sometimes, Alvin, I feel the same way. I guess even best friends get mad at each other. Alvin and Laddie hurried to where the crowd gathered on the lawn beneath the gleaming white hotel. Alvin could see a very well-dressed group. We need to be careful today. There is a small bunch of bearded men whose minds may not be right. They came outdoors in their nightshirts, wearing funny hats with no brims. The sun is going to turn them from browner than they already are. Let's keep an eye on them from a distance. I don't see no pockets to put coins in, and my water is not free. Alvin, it's God's water. Alvin looked at Laddie with a scowl on his face. Where did you get that nonsense from? And here's a little picture of the hotel, the inn. Diana came. Diana. Mom told me the land, air, and water belong to God. I know she says that. Hey, she's not your mom. Get that through your head. I don't have one. Alvin looked at Laddie. You don't have one of what? Alvin, I don't have a head. Alvin groaned. You don't have a mom or a head. Just hurry before the other boys get all the rich customers. Alvin and Laddie picked out what they thought were the richest people first. In a short amount of time, his pockets were full of coins, but he still had some water left in the jug. The small group of bearded men in the long robes were walking toward a one-story wooden meeting room. Let's hurry and catch up with them. Maybe they have secret pockets. Alvin ran ahead of the men, with Laddie swinging wildly from the leather thong. I'm getting dizzy. Your knee hit my lip. Such a crybaby. Be quiet now. It's hard. They caught up with them out of breath. Sirs, how about one more drink of water before you enter the building? Mighty hot in there when the sun gets higher. The younger men with black beards were not that friendly and tried to shoo him away. The older man with the white beard motioned them to come closer. His smile was in contrast to the stern faces of the others. He took the ladle and took a long drink. He gave Alvin some coins, way more than he had hoped for. He then motioned to Alvin to fill it up again. Alvin grinned from ear to ear and thought, Mom is going to be so proud of me bringing home so much money. Alvin handed the full ladle back to the old man, but was not prepared for what happened next. The smile on the old man's face grew even larger, and his eyes seemed to grin. He bent down and held the ladle, so Alvin took a drink. He then looked into Alvin's eyes and put his other hand on the top of Alvin's head. Something like this had never happened before. Alvin took a long drink, and when he was almost finished, a tear fell from his eye and fell into the ladle. Alvin was strangely quiet afterwards. He looked at the money in his hand for the first time with an expression that said, how did all those coins get there? Alvin, who was that man? Hard to say, Laddie. I think I might be asking that question for a long time. Alvin kept looking at the man with the white beard as he walked into a wooden building with a crowd of people following him. Snap out of it. We got work to do, and don't forget the stuff Mom wants from the general store. Thanks, Laddie, for reminding me. You were always so practical. Laddie was puzzled. You never thank me. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Never better. Thanks for asking. Now I'm worried. Did you fall down and hit your head? Laddie, I want to thank you. I know that there will come a time when I will grow up and will stop being a water boy. That makes me nervous, Alvin. What will happen to me? You will always be with me, even when I am an old man, because I will never forget this day. Alvin was never the same again. The new joyous Alvin, with a genuine smile, continued to be a water boy, making more money than ever in the next few years. He kept hoping the old man in the white beard would come back, but he never did. Alvin even gave free water to some of the poorer people because he knew that would make the kind man with the white beard even happier if that were possible. He talked with Laddie far less and with other kids far more as time went on. As he grew up in Eliot, he made many, many friends. Some of them were a little unusual, like the elderly chiropractor who lived at the top of Greenacre Road. One day, he knew he had to meet her. His car would always stop when he was passing her house. He became her friend and patient. They made each other laugh. She would make him tea. When she handed him the cup, he thought of another elderly friend who long ago had given him a soothing drink with great tenderness. That was Abdu'l-Baha.
I know this is minutia, but even the part where the people surrounding Abdu'l-Baha were not like Abdu'l-Baha, they could be rude. And that's because when Abdu'l-Baha came to this country, he took some of his enemies with him that were too dangerous to leave behind. So who else would do that? You know, things like that. I just wanted to, I'm not going to read anything about the grain of sand. That you don't have that book. You wouldn't have that one. It's not in George Ronald. But this is, if people wondering, how do I start writing if I feel like I want to write, is that it can start with a little thing that really, that you feel inside, it's pulling you, it's grabbing you. And Frank Post and I used to go up on northern, we lived in the Hudson Valley closer to the city. We'd drive about an hour and a half and help this couple that the husband was disabled. And we'd stay the weekend. We'd have a great time. And they had another guy became a friend of theirs, and eventually became a Baha'i. He was a very tiny little thin man, and he was just wonderful to be around. There was something to him, and told me this story once about being out with his friends, and lightning came up, and he said, "Ronnie, I was so fast, I outran that lightning all the way home." So, I mean, that's how you then you leap to this story about a grain of sand, which which is a wonderful little story about a grandson and his grandfather who's a baseball player, and he's in a nursing home and things like that, and has to go to even another more intense facility, And so what I'm saying is that you have your own stories, you have your own incidents that are going to trigger memories that you might want to write them down. It's awful hard to get published, but it's nice to try keep them for your own family. And then the last one, I just want to read this book, The Winter Cloak, great illustrations by my friend Dominic Metro, who's working over in Haifa. I don't know if that does it.
Whose wife is there, Diana Metro.
And they're coming back pretty soon in September. It's my oldest friend. There's the wife. So make sure you tell Dominic I held up his illustration. He's an
Okay.
incredible artist. Yeah. So anyway, what's special about the Winter Cloak is that you never know what's gonna, again, spark a story, because it's a very it's not a lot written about this, but this takes place in 1921, and there was some Westerners there traveling who happened to be there around this time, where once a year Abdu'l-Baha would take provide a winter cloak for anybody in Acre who needed one. And he would, but unlike a rich man who might just say, go to the tailor's shop and drop a bag of money on the counter and said, take care of these people, Alvin the Water stayed with the tailor and helped fit each person from morning to late at night to make sure every poor person in Acre that needed a winter cloak got a winter cloak. It's just a very slight little story. So of course I then started the fiction part of it, but it's based on something real. And at the end of it, I'm going to read you part of one of the eulogies from the Muslim cleric. So no non-Baha'i spoke at Alvin the Water's funeral. They were all from other religions or dignitaries. All, no Baha'i spoke at it. So this is the Muslim cleric. I do not wish to exaggerate in my eulogy of this great one for his ready and helping hand in the service of mankind and the beautiful and wondrous story of his life spent in doing that which is right and good. None can deny save him whose heart is blinded. O thou revered voyager, thou hast lived greatly and died greatly. This great funeral session is but a glorious proof of thy greatness in thy life and in thy death. But O thou whom we have lost, thou leader of men, generous and benevolent, to whom shall the poor now look? Who shall care for the hungry and the desolate, the widow and the orphan? May the Lord inspire all thy household and thy kindred with patience in this grievous calamity, and immerse thee in the ocean of his grace and mercy. He verily is the prayer-hearing, prayer-answering God. Yeah. So that's just one of the eulogies, but So, yeah. So that's what I have for today. Wasn't too long.
Thank you.
If there's any questions, I don't know. Probably don't know if you need any, but so
I hope you'll do this again sometime, Uncle Ronnie.
yeah, I might think of something. You never know. I thought I was true with the last one. For those who maybe, I don't know who was at the last one, but I see some familiar faces, but but we did one about the 3 women who Baha'is women who came to Green Acre, which is pretty wonderful and great stories there. And then we did one on the first one we did was one on Dan Jordan, so we did Dr. Jordan, so we did that one. So wonderful. Yeah. So thank you for coming and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah.
For having us.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you all.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Until next time. All right,
Yeah.
buddy.
Thank
see
you
you
very
now.
much.
Bye now.
Take care.
Thank you.
Allow
very much, Ray. Allow
Allah.
Bye.